Hello, it's Peter Merrick, and I'm at LAX, and I'm so excited to see my daughter. She's coming back after 5 weeks. And as I drove here, I went to McDonald's and I bought myself a coffee, and I realized that the price in 1 year had gone up 40%. Is that surprising considering that the Federal Reserve, the government of the United States, introduced $5.5 trillion into the economy in the form of debt? I was once asked the question, if I was to spend a dollar every second, how long would it take me to spend $1 trillion? You're going to be surprised. That number is 31,000 years. That means if you were to spend a dollar every second, it would take 31,000 years for you to spend $1 trillion. It's unbelievable. People weren't producing because the purpose of money, real money, not fiat cash, is to trade your life energy for something that's tradable. It's a medium of exchange. Well, you have to contribute to the economy. Well, so many people were given money and they weren't contributing to the economy. At the beginning of the shutdowns, 22% of the labor force were laid off, were not working, but they received government checks. And you know what's also very scary? The average worker in America earns $42,000. So even the checks they were getting, which might have been amounted to a few $1,000s, that took away from the GDP. And are you surprised that there's a breakdown in the system? The fact that the supply chain is crumbling? Now, people knew this. They have they have think tanks that actually play out these scenarios, the best case, the status quo, and the worst case. They knew this was going to happen. So don't think this wasn't planned. I've been doing a lot of research, and the fiat currency is at the end. It wasn't just $5.5 trillion because it's a multiple, because there's something called fractional banking. There was probably half a quadrillion dollars created. That's $500 trillion into the system. At some point, things break down. Now, who gets that money first and what do they get to purchase? You know what I read recently that actually I found very disturbing? BlackRock has put together a fund, $50 billion, to buy distressed properties, housing. They take it away from the average American. And over 50% of Americans can't afford a home. If you were to borrow over a year ago $500,000 for a mortgage, you'd be paying approximately $2,100 a month in mortgage payments. Now, when it's 6%, you're paying $3,000, a 50% increase. And gas has gone up, everything's gone up. So I have been asking a question of many people I've been interviewing, and that is, if I was the devil, what would I do? I would do exactly what was done over the last 2 years. I would shut down the economy. I would print tons of money. I would purchase up everything. I would cause death and destruction. You're going to say, Peter, that's pretty radical. Death and destruction. Well, did you know, because of the lockdowns, 60 million additional deaths occurred worldwide? There's 500 million people who are on the verge of starvation. This is because of the shutdowns. This is fact. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. We're in a very crazy time. And it's been said, the only history not known is a history not studied. Everything has happened before, and we could see this, and it's happening. So don't think we're going back to normal. So question, don't take authorities word. I was recently talking to a doctor, and he was saying, why would doctors follow these protocols, even if their basic instinct told them not to? Well, they go to university, they spend about $500,000 per debt. So they're paying right now approximately $3,000 a month to pay off their debt. Then they are governed by some board that says you have to behave a certain way. And in addition to that, the hospitals have protocols and they're run by bureaucrats who are trying to make money, and these are people who don't question, and they follow orders. That doesn't cut it, because during the Nuremberg trials, all these doctors and jurists who said we were just following orders, well, guess what? They went to the gallows. So you think this wasn't planned? This is fully planned. You want to hear something that I find very disturbing that is not talked about? The insurance companies throughout the industry are paying out 40% more, 40% higher death rates in the developed world. And guess what? They don't tell people this. The higher the death rates. There have been so many deaths between the ages of 18 and 64. They don't even count them anymore. You know what I was reading that I found very disturbing? I was reading that in England they bought 5 years worth of child coffins. I've been seeing billboards that talk about children having strokes and heart attacks as well. The reason I'm doing this video is because I'm making a call out for those who are questioning. Because by questioning, you restart your cognitive function. And by doing that, then you can take action. Because every tyranny ends when good people say, no, I will not acquiesce to evil, I will not participate. And that happens when you lose your fear. Because you have sovereignty, you have autonomy, and in the country I am, the Constitution was created to give the power to the people. The people do not have to ask the government permission to be free. It is given to us by our Creator. And we as individuals give our government the power to provide us services, not to dictate how we live. So these are just my thoughts today. And are we in a recession? Yeah. On Thursday, the US government's going to announce it. A recession is when you have 2 quarters of the GDP that have shrunk. Now the GDP really has to do with transactions. So people are making less transactions, and that makes sense. People are getting scared. There's $3 trillion in the stock market that disappeared. There's $1 trillion in the cryptocurrency. That's $4 trillion. I don't know what that is. I know this. It would take me 124,000 years to be able to spend $1 a second to actually spend that much. Can you imagine? Well, that's just my thoughts for today. Go out there, make a difference, be kind, be useful, and do not be frightened to speak what you see. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.